when we're listening to these stories is the response of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, because he's going to dictate ultimately what we need to be doing. So that's one of the things. So we'll start off. So Nu'man radiallahu ta'ala anhu, right? He's the prankster. He's the prankster of the Sahabi. So there's a beautiful story where there's a caravan coming from the outside of Medina. And this caravan is holding very expensive fruit. And so Nu'man, right, he goes to the caravan and he says, I'd like to buy some fruit, but on credit. So, put it on my tab. I'll pay it later. So he buys it on credit, takes it as a debt. And he goes and takes it to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and he said, this is a gift for you. I brought you some nice, delicate, expensive fruit. I want you to eat it. I'm so excited for you to eat it, and you deserve it. And, being very generous and very loving and caring to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. But the Prophet doesn't know, right, that he bought them on credit. So then the merchants go to Nu'man and they say, okay, give us our money back. And he said, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he has your fruits, he ate them, go get the money from him. So then the merchants go to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and they say, where's our money? And he said, what are you talking about? I got these as fruits as a gift from Nu'man. And then Nu'man comes and he says, oh Prophet, I really wanted you to eat those fruits and I was really excited. I wanted you to be the first one to taste them, but I didn't have the money. So I got them on credit. So go ahead, pay them. And so the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, full smile, laughing, and they said when the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, when he used to laugh, he would flex, right, all of the muscles on his face. So when he would laugh, you would really see his laughter. And so he laughed and he paid, right? So first thing we see here is that not only did he actually have to pay the consequences per se of Nu'man's actions, but he literally had to pay for Nu'man's actions. And he did it all with a smile. So this is something interesting. And, I actually, in my community, we had a couple people that were, considered to be pranksters. And they used to do like social experiments on YouTube and do like a lot of pranks and stuff. And they were a part of our community. And they were not treated like this. They were not treated like this. They were treated very harshly. And eventually they were ran out of the masjid and they don't go to the masjid anymore. And they were very bright, smart young men who this was their personality. And there was a lot of potential in the work that they did too, in terms of social experiments and different things. And it was very sad to see that the Muslim community is acting in contradiction to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. If we just understood these things a little bit more, we would have been able to reconcile, right, their attributes, right, and encourage them to do something better maybe with what they've been doing. So this is just one example. So the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ laughed, and Nu'man began to have that reputation where everyone knew that he was an absolute blast to have around. Everyone really enjoyed his presence and they really enjoyed his pranks. And so this is the first one. So then a second one is a man that's at the home of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and this is a Bedouin man. And the Bedouins were known, they were known to come to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ's house, often uninvited and often shouting and yelling, right? And this is we know this from Surah Al-Hujurat, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يُنَادُونَكَ مِنْ وَرَاءِ الْحُجُرَاتِ أَكْثَرُهُمْ لَا يَعْقِلُونَ, right? The people who go to your house and they just go, oh Muhammad, right? They don't have any even basic etiquette with the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. So the Bedouins were kind of known for this, but basically what we need to understand is that, so this Bedouin goes to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ's house and he ties his camel outside of the house. And then he's inside the Prophet Muhammad's house, and they're speaking, and they're talking with one another. And then the Sahabi come up to Nu'ayman. So they kind of planted this one. The Sahabi go up to Nu'ayman, they say, hey, look at that camel over there. So they kind of, provoked him a little bit. That camel, maybe you should pull a prank. So they're not willing maybe to do it themselves, but they know that if they provoke Nu'ayman, that he might do something. So they point out the camel to Nu'ayman. And then Nu'ayman takes the camel, slaughters the camel. And I know, it's crazy. Like, you really wouldn't expect. So he takes the camel, he slaughters the camel. And then the Bedouin man comes out, and he's screaming, where's my camel? What's going on? So Nu'ayman goes, and he hides in a ditch and covers himself in rock and dust, and he's hiding. And so the Prophet goes out to the Sahabi, said, where's the camel? And they said, Nu'ayman did it, and they showed him where Nu'ayman's hiding. So the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ pulls Nu'ayman out of the ditch, dusts him off himself, and he's laughing the whole time. Like, he's laughing with him the whole time. Like, there's no scolding or anything involved. It's purely understood what's going on. So the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ once again pays the man the price of the camel and a little bit on top, and then they cook the meat, and they have a feast with the camel, him and all the Sahabi, and they all have a good time, and that was basically it. But so we see here that these are not small pranks. These are really big. It seems to be like really big pranks that he's pulling, and personally, I don't know how I would have reacted. I personally don't see, it doesn't quite make sense to me even how they tolerated this man. But they did. They tolerated him, they respected him, they loved him, they had a good time with him. And he was really, oftentimes you're really like the life of the party, as they say. And he was close to God. So this is something incredible for us to reflect on. And so then here we have the third story here, which is narrated by Salama. And so Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and it's also important to note that this is during, so all of these are during the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but his pranks go on even after the death of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Salama narrates that Abu Bakr, these are all sahih narrations. Abu Bakr took Nu'ayman and Suwaybit ibn Harmalan, and so Suwaybit radiallahu ta'ala anhu, they're both taken on this journey with Abu Bakr, and Suwaybit is put in charge of the food. So whenever the Sahabi would go out on a journey, they would always appoint leaders, and they would always appoint positions. And there's a very well-known Sahih hadith in which the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ says, if there's 3 of you, appoint 1 to be the leader. So this is understood. It's very well understood that this is how they function. That the Muslims were always historically known to be extremely organized, and this is something that we often lose. And then we always think like, oh, why should we appoint one person to be the leader? We can all just do it, like democratically. Well, the thing is that they did do it democratically. But at the end of the day, they had someone to kind of be the arbitrator and be the head and to make a decision. So they always used shura, right? They always, right? Amrahum bainahum shura, that they always established counsel and would advise one another. But at the same time, they would have someone at the end of the day to be able to make the hard decisions. So this is something just to take note of. And realize even amongst yourselves that this is something important to always do. So Suwaybit's in charge of the food. So Nu'ayman, they're going along their journey, and Nu'ayman's like, hey, I'm hungry. Let me get some food. So he said, I'm hungry. I want some food. Just let me get some food. Doesn't seem like too hard of a thing to do. But Suwaybit, he says, حتى يأذن لي أبو بكر. He said, I'm not going to give you anything until Abu Bakr comes and gives permission that it's time to eat. He says, it's time to eat. That means it's time to eat. That's when we're all going to eat. So Nu'ayman is very angry. He's very hungry. He wants to eat right now. And so he says, that's how you're going to be? Okay, I'll get my revenge. So Suwaybit, then he sees another caravan that's also kind of on the same path, on the same road. And he goes to them and he says, I have a slave. He's very intelligent. He's from among the Arab. And I will sell him to you for 10 dirham. So he said, well, that's a really good deal. And but he said, watch out. He's very smart. And when you go to take him, he's going to say that he's free. He's going to say, Ana hur. I am a free man. Don't take me. I'm free. So the other caravan going and thinking, like, this is what he's gonna say. So they already have it in their head. He's prepared them, and so they pay Nu'ayman, and then they go to get Suwaybit. And Suwaybit, they go and grab Suwaybit, and he says, "Ana hur, I'm free." And they said, "Yeah, your master told us you were gonna say that." And they grab him and they take him, and then they go the other way. So this was kind of, I think this one's a little bit bigger prank than even the last two. So Suwaybit becomes enslaved to this caravan, and they go the other way. And then Abu Bakr returns. He had left for a bit. He returns, and they said, what happened to Suwaybit? And then so they all tell him the story, and then Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu, they all go, they catch up to the other party, and they pay the people back, and they get Suwaybit back. And they said, Salama says about this, that the Sahabi stayed laughing about this incident for over a year. And obviously not continuously, but from time, you know how you have that inside joke? You have that inside joke that just keeps on coming back, and you just keep on, like, even, it still doesn't die for some reason. And it's just that incident or whatever it may be that you just keep on laughing on every time it comes to your mind. So this is just another example once again that Nu'ayman didn't mess around. Like, these are really heavy pranks, and it doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there. So then after the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ's life, you have in the Khalifa of Uthman, you have in the Khalifa of Uthman, how much time do we have? Sorry, one second. Just want to see. Okay. So we're actually, I think we'll stop right here, and then the Maghrib's in a couple minutes, and then we'll inshallah finish up after Maghrib. Okay? So Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salam ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi. Yeah, we'll just pick up inshallah. So just continuing with the dars, we've been, for those who maybe jumped in now, we've been reflecting on some of the stories from Nu'ayman ibn Amr radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And so we have here the last one that we're going to share inshallah for tonight, and then we'll go to Q&A or reflections, And I'd love to hear some of your reflections about the talk and about a few other things. So in the time of the Khalifa of Uthman radiallahu ta'ala anhu, there was a blind man. So there was a blind man, and he needed to urinate. And so usually when he needed to do that, he would ask someone for help to direct him to a place that was, private, where he could take care of his business. And so Nu'ayman, finds the blind man and he directs him to the masjid. And so he directs him to a corner in the masjid. And so the man urinates in the masjid. And as he's doing that, the Sahabi all kind of rush towards him, kind of like, oh, what are you doing? You should not do that. And so then the blind man is very angry and he says, who guided me here? Who brought me here? And they all knew who it was. It wasn't even a question. Of course it was Nu'ayman. So then the man says, I'm going to find Nu'ayman. I'm going to teach him a lesson. And so the blind man needs to find Nu'ayman. And so then Nu'ayman comes up to the blind man, changes his voice, and he says, so you're looking for Nu'ayman. I know where he is. So then the blind man's like, yes, I am looking for Nu'ayman. I'm going to teach him a lesson. So he says, he's right over here. Let me show you. So Nu'ayman takes the blind man to Uthman radiallahu anhu, to the Khalifa, takes him to Uthman, and then Nu'ayman winds up and he whacks Uthman radiallahu anhu and then jumps on him, proceeds to, teach him a lesson. And Uthman radiallahu ta'ala anhu, of course, all smiles, all laughter. They understand exactly what's going on. And Uthman radiallahu anhu used to say, if the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam put up with this, then I will definitely put up with this. So there was this understanding, and you can just really imagine for 1 second someone doing this in the masjid, someone urinating in a masjid, and knowing that someone is the cause of it, and having the ability to laugh about it. I really don't think any of you are capable of this. I really don't. Not myself, not any of us. So this is just one thing to think about, is that Nu'ayman, he did kind of have limits, but we just not able to recognize them. He did in fact have some, he was an extremely moral, upright gentleman and Sahabi, and he was of extremely pure heart. It's something that we don't understand, but we also have to understand that our morality is somewhat relative. What we do is we take the morality that we've learned, in school and from our parents and all of those things. We take that morality and then we come and apply it to the Quran and to the life of the Sahabi. And this is part of why we are not able to quite share in the same type of morality that they have. And when we talk about in the khutbah, right, loving Allah and His Messenger is adopting their morality, right? Not trying to necessarily adopt the morality of your culture or your society, because morality in cultures and societies change, whereas Islam is constant. And so for us, the only thing that we can take from our cultures and our societies are that which comply with Allah and His Messenger. And this is kind of something that, really we lack. And there are a lot of moral decisions that we all have to make, especially living in this country. And Islam is flexible in many ways. But the key here is evidence. The key here is that the Muslim lives upon evidence, right? We do not just decide to do things. We do not just try to think what is right. Although it's an element, right? The intellect is an element of morality, right? The fitrah is an element of morality, but knowledge is also another element of reality, and that is knowledge that is founded within Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger. So this is also something that we have to keep in our mind, is that are we really in love with the pranks of Nu'ayman and the laughter and all of those things because we want Islam to comply with our morality? Like, we want Islam to comply with our life, which is full of laughter, and we love We obsess with leisure and entertainment and comedy and all. Like, are we just happy with this because it makes us feel, in a sense, more religious? Or are we, trying to make people laugh and smile because that is something that the Prophet and his companions did? This is something important, really, is that our intention, that, for instance, when we think about, smiling in the face of your brother or sister is charity, right? Trying to make someone smile because you love the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Trying to make someone laugh because you want to cheer up their day and make them happy because that's what Allah and His Messenger love, So making sure that we're grounding our morality within their lives and within their stories, and not just happy with this story because it makes us feel a little bit better about the lifestyles that we live here in the West. This is, and this is just my opinion. You can all tell me I'm wrong, and maybe I'm wrong, that's fine. But this is just my reflection on when we, or why we love these stories so much. And also, the second thing is the enthusiasm that we bring. When it comes to lectures like these, it's so fun, and we all find ourselves to be very enthusiastic. But how do you get yourself to be equally enthusiastic if we were doing a lecture about Jahannam? How do you do it? Right? And so also the enthusiasm of learning beneficial knowledge, because it's beneficial for us, because it's good for us, because we need it, because we want to be successful ultimately in the akhirah. Right? So bringing the same type of enthusiasm and understanding that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for instance, He says, وَأَنَّهُ أَضْحَكَ وَأَبْكَى. He's the one that made you laugh and He made you cry. And so this is an understanding that, and you'll see this, for instance, someone will lose someone they love. And then you'll find at the funeral or after the funeral, they'll be reflecting on some aspects of the person's life and they'll all be laughing. So how can one be sad and happy almost back to back, or almost right after one another, or even in the same thought, someone will be laughing and then they're crying and laughing and crying? How is this possible? And this is from a rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Say, وَأَنَّهُ أَضْحَكَ. He's the one that made you laugh and made you cry. He's the one that gave you the ability to laugh and then cry. He is the one who gave you ease after hardship, and hardship with ease, etc. And this is just a part of life. And for me, I grew up doing, sometimes in a day, I would attend a funeral, and then attend the aqiqah, and then attend a marriage, and then attend the funeral the next morning. So it'd be sadness, happiness, the birth of a child, right? And then happiness, a wedding, and then sadness, a funeral, and then there's all types of things going on around the world. So the point here that we're making here is that it is possible to be conscious and connected and aware, yet still live lives, right, of happiness and tranquility and comfort and hardship, and all of it, right, is a package, and this is what we call life. So when a lot of us, what we do, and even myself, is that we want to pursue these aspects of life. Like, we want to pursue the laughter, we want to pursue the comfort, we want to pursue the luxury. But those are actually bringing about, in the long term, they're bringing about more pain for ourselves. The key here is to pursue Allah and His Messenger, and these are just parts of a life lived for Allah and His Messenger. They're not what's to be pursued. They are just byproducts of someone who lives for Allah and His Messenger. So this is something that I also wanted to reflect upon as we close. It's at the end of the day, we're trying to live lives of balance, and that's what our communities need. They need for us to be those balanced individuals, whether it's our greater society or whether it's within our family, our families, and our loved ones, our children, our parents. All of us, we need that balance, and that's ultimately as well something that we need to be working for, inshallah. So I think let's go to maybe a little bit of Q&A and also reflection. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. This is Imam Eid. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you found it beneficial, drop a like and a comment. To see our previous videos, click here. And to keep updated with us, subscribe. Jazakumullahu khairan.